Hey guys, this is John Driscoll, co-founder and CEO of Naked Development. So excited to have you guys here today. We have all been working super hard to put not only this presentation together, but the offer that we're gonna make, the masterclass we're gonna show you, and you can take it or leave it. We're gonna offer it to you, so you decide. We're gonna talk about how to fund your startup with just an idea. These are the 3 secrets I've put together to help you get funding for your app. My goal for today is very, very simple. I want to show you how I've been able to help hundreds of companies get funded over the past 10 years, but also to give you that blueprint. You see, so many people don't have the blueprint. I want to give you that blueprint today to get you to be able to talk to investors, to give you the capital that you need. But more than that, believe it or not, these same investors will require you to quit what you're doing now, your day job, so that you can chase your dream. That's an amazing opportunity that a lot of people have not had. I want to help you do that. I've seen so many people be able to chase their dreams by going through these steps. So I'm gonna give you that blueprint today. Oh, before I do that, I wanna offer you a free gift at the end. Just for staying to the end, we're gonna send this to you. So if you make it all the way to the end and you're able to endure this time with me, we're gonna send this gift to you. And that's the 5 app startup success secrets. This is not for funding, this is for your company. These secrets are really compiled from companies that I've worked with that, mistakes I've seen them made, also the things that they've done that have really launched their apps into the stratosphere. So I wanna give those to you. That's 5 app startup success secrets. It's kind of hard to say. Anyways, all I need from you is very, very simple. I want your authenticity. I want you to make an effort here with me. A lot of you have probably been dreaming. A lot of you have talked to me already about these things, about your dreams of building an app. You have these ideas. You feel like they're worth millions, if not billions of dollars, right? But you've been maybe sitting on them. And I'm just asking you that if I can show you how you can follow this path to a successful fundraise so that you can build your app, if I show you that path, that you will actually do something about it, that you will take action, that you won't just sit on this information. I don't need this information. I have this information. I've been doing this for a long time. But if I go through all this effort and I give this to you, I would just ask that you do something about it. Don't sit on it. I've seen so many people do that. Please make an effort. Let me share with you the 3 secrets that I'm gonna show you today. Secret number 1, it's about your story, not your stats. That's secret number 1. Secret number 2, they want you, not your idea. Believe it or not, they want you, not your idea. Secret number 3, time kills deals. I want to show you those 3 secrets today. And if you get those and you apply those, I'm telling you, the dream, the funding, everything so that you can chase this thing is real. Believe me, this is not a joke. This is not a big sales pitch. This is a real thing that can change your life. So before I do that, I want to tell you a little bit about myself because I think it really helps, because I think a lot of times you see somebody on the other side of this camera and you think, I must have been doing this my whole life. But let me tell you very clearly, I am not special. I did not come from money. What you see on the screen right now, that was my actual apartment that I grew up in Victorville, California. For those of you that know where Victorville, California is, it is not a high-end place. Sorry if you're from Victorville, California, but this is where I grew up. I grew up in an apartment complex. My parents were the manager of the apartment. And actually on the screen there, you can see where that's my first bike accident. I actually crashed, almost went right into that wall right there on the right. But that's where I lived. I didn't grow up in money. I didn't have these massive advantages. I wasn't groomed for this at all. I didn't fall into it, but I found my way through it. I also don't have a computer science degree. If you see that classroom on the screen, that's not me because I didn't go to computers. I didn't take computer science. I did go to college, but that guy in the right corner, that's not me either because I didn't finish. I actually dropped out like a lot of tech people have. I don't know if maybe that's a pattern that we're all doing, but I didn't complete college. I dropped out. And I dropped out because I was trying to chase down something that college was not providing me. It was really me wanting to chase my dreams, to be an entrepreneur and to really start something of my own. I eventually did do that, but I do have some computer experience. Let me start there and be honest about that, because I have a little bit of nerd in me, but it's not really required for what I'm going to show you today. But just part of my story is this. I did get my hands on a TRS-80 when I was about 11 years old. This is a Radio Shack TRS-80 computer. Most of you are probably way too young. You haven't seen one of these. I started programming DOS on this when I was a kid because my dad had one and he asked me to learn it, and I opened the book and tried. I actually learned with a book. Imagine that. And that's how I learned to actually program a little bit. Not really applicable what I do today, but it was something I was interested in. I was always kind of interested in tech. I also got my hands on a Windows machine when they first came out. My high school actually got one. They were like $3,000, and they allowed us to take this class, and 3 of us got chosen to go into a special class where we could figure out Windows because the teachers didn't even know how to use it. And so we got to do that. We actually got math credits, and I got out of math, so I was like, I'm in. So that was me kind of growing up, but I was always looking for something more. I wanted to start something. And so what actually ended up happening is I got into banking, oddly enough. It's kind of chasing the dollar a little bit. And I got into banking and mortgage banking, to be specific. I've actually been in a couple bank robberies, not really relevant to this, but I got into mortgage banking, did really well, started a company called Driscoll Financial Services, launched in like 1999, and we did really well. I did get that success that everyone thinks they're searching for, that they think that money's gonna fulfill them. And I was just like everybody else. I thought that the money would make me happy, that it would make me feel like I had purpose. And truthfully, I wasn't all that happy. I had the success. This is me. I do look a lot different, a little bit heavier back then. I did get that success that I thought I wanted so badly, but what I found is it really wasn't fulfilling me. So I did what most people do when they make a lot of money. I built a house, right? I started construction on a big house. I thought this was gonna be my dream house. I thought this would be the house I'd live in the rest of my life. And this is what it actually looked like when I was done. And I thought, yeah, maybe that'll make me happy, and it didn't. And so what did I do after that? Well, I said, well, I need another house. So I got a second house. I got a second home in Cabo San Lucas right on the ocean, and I thought, oh, that'll make me happy. I will be able to hang out and enjoy my time, and it was enjoyable, don't get me wrong. I love Cabo, one of my favorite places in the world, but still didn't make me happy. I had the houses, I had the money, I had the success. We were one of the largest brokers in the country at the time, making millions of dollars. And I wasn't happy. And what I was really searching for, and I didn't figure this out till later on, is I was really just searching for purpose. I felt like I was missing something. What I did every day was not it didn't make me want to wake up in the morning and stay up late at night. Even though I did all that because I was chasing the dollars, it didn't make me want to do it for the right reasons. And so I had lots of questions. I was looking for direction. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And so as the market started shifting and all that, I sold my company. I got out. And that was around 2006. And I just said, I'm done. I'm gonna change the course of what I'm doing. And I started trying to find something else to do. I consulted for a while, for about a year, and then it all kind of came together on March 6, 2008. I turned on this webinar, and it was not like webinars are today. It was more like just viewing something online, and it was a webinar with Steve Jobs. And he explained this new program that Apple was coming out with. And because I was interested in tech and I was involved in already developing software at the time, this kind of piqued my interest. And so he talked about this thing called the App Store and how he was gonna allow for all of us to be able to partake in this thing that they were gonna offer to the iPhone. A lot of people don't remember in that day, but the iPhone, you couldn't even actually download apps. You only got the apps that the iPhone came with. And this was the start of Apple allowing us to all get involved. And so I signed up the first day. It was $99 for the year, and I had no idea how we were gonna program. I had no idea how we were gonna do all these things, but I signed up the first day. And we started building apps. We started trying to figure it out. And I built the first app that we made. And we made a couple really small apps. And then we got involved in some big brands and started making apps for some of these companies. And that was cool. But I still kind of didn't feel satisfied. I loved making the tech, but what the problem with the big companies is what we experienced is that they weren't disrupting. They weren't changing the world. I wanted to be a part of changing things. I wanted to have this purpose. I didn't want to just make a banking app for a bank. That wasn't exciting to me. I wanted to work with companies that wanted to disrupt the world, that wanted to solve human problems. That's what technology is really here for us to solve human problems. And so we started trying to work with startups. And it wasn't until September 20th, 2012, that I really got to work with a cool startup and was really, fortunate to meet a guy named George Tinnery. He was the co-founder of SnapMD, and he invited me out to sushi. He said, hey, let's go out for sushi. I want to talk to you about something that I'm working on. And so I drove to Glendale and we went to Sushi on Brand. If you've ever been there, super good. Anyway, so he told me about an app he wanted to create that was going to help doctors to be able to talk to patients with video. Now, that all seems really normal today, but imagine having this conversation in 2012. There wasn't any of that going on. And so he wanted us to build this platform for doctors and hospitals and all of this. And so the problem is he didn't really have the money to develop it. And I didn't understand that. I didn't understand how we were supposed to build this app if he didn't have the money to develop it. Well, he said he'd raise it. And the one thing that was really clear about Snap and what George saw the vision for his company was, he had a really clear vision. He had a really clear story of what they were going to do. And he was able to really communicate that well to investors. And his story was very simple. He just said, I'm going to help people avoid the waiting room. And he wanted to create a virtual waiting room online. And so he went out with this message, this clear story, and he started raising money. And it went well. His first raise was $600,000. This is on the screen. You can see Crunchbase that I'm showing you. This is proof of all these raises. They're actually published. And so he went out and he raised $600,000. And that was his first round. And we started building the app. And it cost $500,000 to build this app. Really expensive back in those days to build something like that. And then he went out and he raised $5.3 million in his Series A round. Remember going through that because we were trying to hold off on some of our bills actually to get through that point. And then he went out and raised $3.3 million and then $7.1 million. And then you keep going, and what happened? Well, in 2019, in December, they were acquired, SnapMD, by a larger company. And so George did very well, all because he had a clear story and knew how to raise money. And that opened my eyes to the whole system. I realized that somebody like George could go out and raise money, not even risk his own money, that he could go out and raise money and end up selling his company for, it's not posted, but somewhere in the neighborhood of $100 to $200 million. That he could go make that kind of money and risking very little of his own wealth. That opened my eyes to everything. But what I saw in that first step was secret number one. And I want to share that with you right now. And secret number one is, it's your story, not your stats. You see, when people are trying to raise money, what they think is, most of the time, that they're just going to blow the investor away with all these numbers. That they're going to show them stat, and they're going to show them my idea and all this stuff, and they think that that's going to sell the whole thing. And the truth is, it's really the story that they're telling that communicates to the investor and makes them want to invest. A great quote by Mike Vernal, who runs Sequoia Capital. If you don't know anything about Sequoia Capital, they have an $8 billion venture fund. The companies that they've invested in control $1.4 trillion of the stock market. He knows a little bit about investing. This is a great quote by him. He says, if you can't tell the story of the company in 5 minutes, you're either overthinking it or you haven't simplified it down enough. A guy like that, you might want to listen to him. And I can tell you, I've seen it with my own 2 eyes, that it's the people that have the best story and they're telling that story the best are the ones that end up raising the money. It's really less about numbers. Whether you're doing a deck presentation in front of a big crowd, I've judged some of these competitions, these deck competitions, and when you're in them and you're talking to some of the judges, it's always the story that captures you, that makes you want to be involved. And I can tell you, you need to really hone your story and not be so caught up in the numbers as you might think you need to. It's not about stats. A great example of this is a company we call Airbnb now, but they were called Air Bed and Breakfast. These are actual screenshots from their original deck when they raised their funds. They had really simple deck and they didn't have a ton of slides. I think it was like 15 slides. And they just told the story really, really well. And it really boils down to these really simple ideas, and that is just presenting your problem and presenting your solution. By the way, does anybody wonder why all the big tech companies that are doing really well, they used to have bigger names back then? If you think of it as Air Bed and Breakfast, now we call them Airbnb. The original deck of Uber was Uber Cabs, and the original deck of Facebook was The Facebook. A lot of people know that. But it's funny how everybody always has bigger names and then they end up reducing them down. So you gotta simplify it. It's all about simplifying and not having things be, so crazy. That's why we call ourselves Naked. It's about simplification. You need to take things down, not try to always have a million slides or a million stats or a million this and a huge logo and huge name and all these things. People are missing the point when they do that. Just showing you some of these slides from Air Bed and Breakfast, is simple. This is what their deck looks like. It's not that fancy, but it's really about the message that they have in there. They just did a really good job of explaining the problem. Just simple problem and solution. No numbers on any of these slides, just simple. And they only had 15 slides in their entire deck. You have to be able to get your slides and your deck down to a simplified story. If your story is complicated, you're going to confuse the investor, you're going to confuse your listener, and you're not going to win an investment. And you see that and you understand that's about simplifying and telling your story. And that's what I want to show you how to do. Secret number 2, they want you, not your idea. I love this point. Can't wait to talk about this in my coaching calls. This is one of the favorite topics for people. It's about you. It really is about you. People overestimate how important their idea is. I get voicemails almost daily about people claiming to have billion-dollar ideas. You may have a billion-dollar idea, but you have to execute that idea. It really boils down to you. I love what Thomas Edison said. He said the value of an idea lies in the using of it. So an idea is pretty worthless unless you do something with it. It comes down to you, the person that's executing on that idea. Ideas are really worth nothing without the person attached to them. That's what I love about startups. It's really about people. Believe it or not, the investor is going to choose the team over the idea. I've seen people with pretty weak ideas, but strong teams, and they've raised money. I've seen people with amazing ideas, a weak team, and they did not raise the money. It boils down to people. I love this story. Had opportunity on December 4th, 2017 to meet Brian Johnson, the co-founder and CEO of Carblip. And in this instance, we didn't meet at a sushi bar. We met in my office. He pitched an idea, and I gotta say, nothing against Carblip, I think it's a great app. I didn't think it was that original. It was about selling cars online. I'm like, aren't people already doing that? So the idea wasn't that original, but the team was awesome. They had all kinds of experience in the world of selling cars and how to put those cars online. And they were able to explain how they were going to be different than everybody else. They had a fresh take on an old idea. And once again, they didn't have the money to develop the app, but they had a strong team. They had a strong story. They had a strong deck. Once they did all that, what happened? Well, they raised $2 million. This is an article they featured in TechCrunch where they raised $2 million their first raise. That's better than Snap did. Snap raised $600,000 their first seed investment. They got $2 million in their seed investment. That is impressive. That's one of the bigger seed investments I've seen right out of the gate. And you can actually download this app, Carblip, your car delivered. So what did they do really well about themselves? Let me explain. They did what I didn't coin this phrase, but what I think is most important in a deck. They created FOMO. They created the fear of missing out. This is the best power you have with investors. You have to convince investors that you are going to succeed, that you are going to get there with or without them. Once you've done that, they will be afraid to not be a part of it. And so if you do that well, you will convince them to want to invest. I like to call this principle the hot girl in the bar. So people love this. I don't know why this came up one day, but to me, it's the attitude you need to have when you're presenting a deck to somebody. You need to be like the hot girl in the bar. The hot girl in the bar is not afraid if anybody's gonna come up and talk to her. The hot girl in the bar is not afraid if anybody's gonna buy her a drink. She knows that's all gonna happen. And it's just a matter of time. And so she comes in with confidence. She's sitting up there and just waiting for somebody to come up and, approach her. She has confidence that people are interested. She's the one choosing the best qualified candidates, and she will never change herself for a suitor. That's how you have to approach investing. You have to be the hot girl in the bar. You have to know that somebody's gonna want you. Instead, I see a lot of people who come at it like this. They look more like these guys. They're just so desperate. They're so needy. They're so insecure about their team, their investment opportunity. They're so insecure about their idea, their app, whatever it is, they're insecure about it. And so what they do is they try too hard. And they do a million slides and they spend a long time on the presentation. Like if somebody's giving you 45 minutes, don't take up all 45 minutes talking. You want to reduce that down, be more confident. Don't try so hard. I love Guy Kawasaki's rule. He calls it the 10-20-30 rule. He says basically you should have no more than 10 slides, no more than 20 minutes so that you can leave time for investors to ask questions, and no font smaller than 30 points. You don't want things that people are having to squint to see. These are really, really good principles when you're making your deck. Guy Kawasaki's been super, super influential in the investor world. He's raised $315 million in venture capital for his clients, and he's a legendary past employee of Apple Computers. So this is a great rule. Now, I've seen people have more than 10 slides, that's fine, but you don't need to try so hard. Don't need to oversell people. That just shows insecurity. Be the hot girl in the bar. They're gonna want you if you believe in yourself first.
I think the thing that made it the most exciting for us was the 4-week design meeting, the phase that we went through. We knew that we had a good idea, but we didn't really know how to get it to the next step. And so meeting with the team at Naked, it was sort of a really almost emotional for us because we saw our vision come to life when Jason was putting it down and scratching it out and you guys were talking and adding all the wonderful elements to it. We watched our baby start to develop.
Time kills deals. I tell you, I saved the best for the last. This might be the most important principle that I see people violate all the time. Now, this is an old saying. I didn't make this up. In fact, nobody knows who even made this up because it's so old. If you just Google time kills deals, you'll see article after article after article on this subject, not just in investing, but in all of sales. In fact, the original quote is time kills all deals. What it boils down to is when you are selling an investment, you have to understand this is a sales process. And so you have to approach it like a sales process. There's steps involved. I personally use a CRM and I have all of these steps laid out, and I take an investor all the way through this pipeline when I'm starting to raise capital for a specific fund. So they're gonna come in as a lead, you have to contact them, you have to schedule a demo, and you have to see if they're interested and get the docs out to them and get the docs back in. And there's a whole process to this, and you need to understand this process. If you don't, you are going to struggle to raise funds. You're gonna struggle to do the most important thing, and that is get the money in the house. Get the check in so you can actually start to build something. Here's actual checks coming into my inbox, in my email. Every one of these emails is a check coming in, a commitment from an investor. You can't allow time to go by. You have to have a clear process and timeline for this. And I really learned this lesson the best on June 21st, 2016. This was huge. Unfortunately, I had to learn this lesson the hard way. I met a great co-founder, CEO of Draft Card named Chris Burgett. And we actually had a phone call. He lived far away, so we talked on the phone, and we started talking about his project and what he wanted to do. It was awesome. He had a really great purpose. He really wanted to help kids who are trying to get to college, who are athletes, get scholarships, because I guess there's a lot of kids that just don't get noticed out there. And so he wanted to build this thing, and you actually see it on here. You see my daughter is on the screen on this app because she was actually a high school golfer at the time. So we put her on the deck, and Chris was in a similar situation, didn't have the funding, and so he needed to raise money. And so we went out and we did some pitches, and I actually created the deck for him, and I helped pitch this one with him. And so we went out and we got a commitment for $1 million for 10% of the company. Let me tell you, before you have an app developed to get a commitment for $1 million at 10%, that's an amazing number. And so we got that commitment, and we were just elated. We were like partying and getting ready to it's almost like we counted the check was in the bank. And I just remember learning this lesson the hard way, that sometimes once you get that verbal commitment, the second part is really the hardest. You might have heard the term herding cats. What happens is after you get that verbal commitment from an investor, you have this really difficult part, and that is keeping them interested during the process, the sales process, because you're gonna have to get docs out to them and then enter the lawyers. And the lawyers get involved, and they're gonna read things, and it's almost like they're trying to talk people out of deals all the time. And so you've gotta go through those steps, and you've gotta do that well, or you're not gonna be able to get to the end point, and that is the check. And unfortunately, in our situation, we made a really bad error. And this is something I have not made this mistake since, but we didn't set a deadline. You've got to set a deadline. This is secret number 3. Time kills deals because people don't have deadlines. You've got to have a deadline in order to truly get that investment. I love this quote from Forbes. It's an article, How to Close Your Funding Round in 2016. They said, deadlines, deadlines, deadlines. Set deadlines and be aggressive. Well, we didn't set a deadline, and we ended up losing that first investment. We had to go re-raise the money, and that's nothing worse than getting a verbal commitment, allowing time to go by, not setting a deadline, and then having to go re-raise those funds. We did eventually do it, but it was a tough time. I can just encourage you and tell you, you cannot go raise money without telling them that this is the deadline to get involved. If you don't set that deadline, it seems like they just go away, because they just have forever to think about it, forever for the lawyers to go through it. And so you need to understand that process, you need to understand those steps, and you need to set that deadline. Those are really, really important principles. Because if not, time will kill your deal.
Greetings, my name is Rod Powell, and I'm the founder of Agency. I just wanted to take a minute and talk about the Naked Development Masterclass Workshop. What John and his team have put together in this workshop is a must for any entrepreneur that's looking to build a company in the app or web space. Whether you are at the idea phase, in development, need assistance with branding, or even if you're preparing to take your company to market, they really lift the curtain on their industry with practical and proven tools and techniques and education.
The thing I love most about being part of the Founders Circle is that being with your peers, no matter how old they are, older, younger, whatever, you're all in that first time opportunity, experiencing something from, with someone who has mastery over something. So I think that's the best part about it for me.
I feel so blessed to even be a part of the meetings. I super appreciate how relatable everything is. It's not like you're talking about things that I can't comprehend and are super over my head. You make it so relatable, especially using fun analogies like the hot girl in the bar. Thank you, I remember that one. But also reassuring me, I 110% have imposter syndrome. And you telling me, and you, as in somebody who's been doing this for a while, knows what they're talking about, and telling me that you don't have it all figured out and have felt the way that I do, has definitely helped me a ton. I look forward to next week. Have a good day.
I am so excited to show you what I have next, because I bet you feel a little bit like this. If you guys would just spend a few more minutes with me so I can share with you an offer that we put together that I think would be really, really hard to pass up. We call it our funding masterclass. So I want to show you what this offer entails. And the first piece is free of charge, as we told you, just for hanging in there to the end of this. We said we were going to send you Naked's 5-app startup success secret that we put together. We're going to go ahead and send it to you in digital form, free of charge, just for hanging in there. We put together the 5 things that we've seen that have separated startups that have completely failed to startups that have seen sales for hundreds of millions of dollars. 5 secrets that we feel really separate those two companies, and we've seen it time and time again. One of them is so critical, I can't even tell you. So you've got to get your hands on that. The 5 app startup success secrets is maybe priceless. I don't know how to put a number on it, so I just put priceless on here. So what else do you need to really get started so that you could truly fund your startup? And so that's what we tried to put together. In order to put a presentation together, in order to approach an investor, you're gonna have to have a product. You're gonna need at least an app prototype. We put together what we call our expert app prototyping secrets. I've got the best guy in the business, so I got down on my knees and I asked Jason in his busy, crazy schedule, if you have time to maybe put something together to show people how they could create their own prototype on their own and actually put together something that they can present to investors. And so, this guy's kind of a big deal. Just so you know, he's worked on hundreds of apps from some of the largest companies in the world. He's designed apps that have done billions of dollars in revenue, and he's extremely expensive to work with. But I've been working with him for 18 years, so I was able to ask that of him. And so he put together an awesome video to show you how to create your own sketch prototype to make it really, really easy for you. And he put a step-by-step tutorial together so that you could make beautiful prototypes like this. This was just a prototype that we were able to put into a pitch deck. And so it looks beautiful, it looks amazing, and it's all from using some of these tools that Jason put these videos together to help you to do yourself. So we have the 5 app startup success secrets, the expert app prototyping secrets. I'd value just his time alone at $5,000. And so that's easy for us to say that because he charges, just for a prototype, he charges $15,000. So what else do you need? Time kills deals because people aren't prepared to fund. And so I thought, what if we just put a package of funding docs together that we've used in other raises, and we could just take the names off. We paid all these lawyers all this money to do this. We could just take the names off, create a template, and just hand it to you. We created our legal funding template. And we took all these docs that we normally pay a lot of money for, and we put them and give these templates to you as a part of the package. And so if you look at what this costs, and this is no joke, this is exactly what it costs. Just Google, how much does it cost for a startup attorney? It ranges from $5,000 to $20,000 just to get going. That attorney is a lot of money to just get an accredited investor questionnaire, to get a note purchase agreement, just to be able to send those out by email. And that's the step-by-step process. You take these 2 documents, you email them out to the investor, and you should probably still show them to an attorney, but it's not gonna cost you the same amount of money to show a template to an attorney. And you could fill up your email box with funding commitments. And that's what I want for you. Here's what you get. You're gonna get the 5 app startup success secrets, expert app prototyping secrets with a $5,000 value, and legal funding template, which would be at least $5,000. So the total value so far is $10,000. And so I asked myself, what else do you guys need? Well, you need an amazing investment deck. You got to do that. Air Bed and Breakfast got away with a kind of a funky looking deck. You got to have an awesome deck. And so I thought, well, what if we just gave away the deck we use all the time? And what if we put something special together to make it easy for you to create your deck? And so we created what we call the $30 million investment kit in PowerPoint and in Keynotes. We call it the $30 million investment kit because that deck has raised $30 million over time. So it has a success history of raising funds. And so I went to the best in the business that I know, Robbie, who works for us because he creates all of our decks. Just a little side note, he charges $15,000 to create one of these decks for us. Previously, he's charged even more than that. So insane amount of money just to get a deck from him. And I remember when I met Robbie, the reason why I hired him is because of how amazing his decks looked. He had this deck just about himself when I met him. And I remember seeing this deck and just going, oh my gosh, I've got to have this guy work for me. And I was kind of like Joey on Friends, like, how you doing? He put together not only a video, but also a sample deck where you can just drop in pictures, just type in different copy. I can just tell you this deck would easily cost you $15,000 if you were to hire him. So you get the 5 app startup success secrets, which is priceless. You get the expert app prototyping secrets for $5,000 value, legal funding template, all the stuff you need to get funded, and a $30 million investment kit in PowerPoint and Keynote, plus the videos that go along with that. Plus, Robbie and I shot an hour-long video on showing you how to prepare your Keynote in here. That's even on top of this. All this stuff at a total value of $25,000 so far if you were to hire us or hire these people to do this. And so the next thing that I wanted to add to this, we put together the Founders Mobile Forum. This is so new, I don't even have a screenshot for it yet, but we just started this and we're doing it on a mobile platform that we created, which is even cooler. Super excited about this. So we want you to help be able to learn and consult and collaborate and be encouraged by other founders. And gosh, this is so important. This might be the most valuable thing in the entire offering here. For people to get a chance to practice and pitch each other, you get exclusive access to the Founders Mobile Forum as a part of this. So you get the 5 app startup success secrets, which is priceless, the expert app prototyping secrets, the legal funding template, $5,000 value, a $30 million investment kit, $15,000 value, and exclusive access to our Founders Forum. And just that, if we only offered that with a value of $25,500, I think that would be an amazing offering. But we weren't done. And it's because of a program we started doing with some of our app founders that kind of spurred us on to offer this. We've never done it on this scale. It's always been people who've paid $15,000 to be a part of this, but we decided to make it as a part of the masterclass. So I asked myself, could I get you a coach? All these tools are great, but without somebody to walk you through and to be there for you and to help coach you through it, it sometimes can just not happen on your own. It's hard to learn on your own without being able to collaborate with a coach. And so mentoring is such a big part of startups. And a lot of people, that's why they get involved in accelerators and incubators and all that so that they can get mentored. But the problem is we're seeing a real fall off in incubators actually being successful in mentoring people. There's a quote here, mentoring is at the core of the value that incubators and accelerators provide, and mentoring is the weakest link. You're just seeing that in these articles. Here's another article that says incubators and accelerators take 5% just for mentorship, and yet they're not doing a good job. We don't want part of your company. We don't want a percentage of your company. I mean, if you want to give it to me, sure, but that's not what we're here for. We're here to try to help you launch your own company and own your own equity and be successful. And so we thought, well, gosh, if we could offer our coaching as a part of this process, then that would be an offer that people just couldn't say no to. And so we added the Founders Inner Circle Coaching, which we've already seen massive success come from because we've been offering it to our premium customers. And so we're gonna give you, Robbie almost tackled me when I told him this. We're gonna give you 6 months of weekly 1-hour Zoom sessions designed to help you prepare for funding. That's 1-hour sessions live where I'm there every week. And so that's gonna be included in this package as a part of what we're offering. And so let's put it all together because it's a crazy offering and I don't know, I think maybe we're gonna regret doing this, but we're doing it. So what do you get? You get the 5 app startup success secrets, you get the expert app prototyping secrets, you get the legal funding template, you get the $30 million investment kit, you get the exclusive access to our Founders Forum, and you get 6 months of Founders Inner Circle coaching as a part of this whole package. And so you put it all together and you got something crazy that If you can't get funded after doing this, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. If we can't get you funded at that point, maybe you need to get a different product. So right about now, a button's gonna come up with an offering that you can see on your screen there, where you can get in and actually purchase the offering now. But let me just ask you a couple questions before. If taking the masterclass, if all this did was a few things, let's just say if all this did was helped you to raise $100,000. Maybe you didn't raise $500,000 or $1 million, but it helped you raise $100,000 so you could get your app developed. Would that be worth it? If all this did was to help you build a beautiful pitch deck, would that be worth the price of this masterclass? Would that be worth $25,000 if I said that? If all this did was help you to successfully talk to investors and make a positive pitch to them, if all this masterclass did was that, wouldn't that be worth that much value that I showed you? The good news is we're not gonna ask you for $25,000. I think you knew that. We are gonna offer this today for $599. If you think that it could do one of those three things, would you invest $599 in your future? I think that would be a pretty small investment for that kind of return. On top of that, we're gonna really put our money where our mouth is, and that is we're gonna offer you a 100% money back guarantee for the first 30 days. We don't want anybody to be a part of this if they're not happy with their investment. If you don't think it's a good investment, we'd rather give you your money back. We'd rather stand by what we're offering because we think there's so much value in what we're doing, and we have so many people who believe it's that valuable. We really, really wanted to go above and beyond to make this super available to people. We understand not everybody's in a great financial position right now. And so instead of just offering it at $599 today, we also are gonna make it available if you want to make payments. So you can pay one payment of $599 all at once, or you can pay 4 payments of $197. A ton of value if all it did was help you to create a beautiful deck and approach investors and raise an initial amount of funds. Would that be worth it? All right, so just to wrap things up, I just want to thank you so much for this time that you spent with us today. Hopefully we've offered you a ton of value with these 3 secrets, that we've really helped inspire you to want to get started right away with your startup and hopefully with Masterclass. I hope to see you in the inner circle in my weekly calls and Zoom meetings. I'd love to be a part of it. Please DM me at NakedDev on Instagram. Would love to hear from you, your questions or comments or anything. And I just can't wait for your startup to get started.